If you're traveling after January 1st, 2026, you might be denied boarding if you don't know this new rule that I'm about to unveil in this video. Have you noticed that the older you get, the more flying feels like everything around you is moving at lightning speed, while you're the only one not on fast forward? Here's what most travelers over 65 don't realize. There are actually more protections and options on your side than you probably know exist. The airlines and airports have built in all these senior friendly rights, but nobody tells you about them. You have to know that they exist, and you have to know how to ask for them. But that's what I'm here for. Yeah. So today I'm going to walk you through what I like to call the Hidden Airport Handbook for Seniors. These are protections and perks that are already in the system, just waiting for you to use them. By the end of this video, you are going to know 6 key rules that every older traveler can use to fly smarter, safer, and with a whole lot less stress. In the next video, I'm going to share the other 6 rules with you. So make sure you're subscribed to be notified when I upload that video. And I'm warning you right now though, rule number 10 in the next video is probably going to send you straight to your wallet to check your documents. So make sure you don't miss that one. If you're in your golden years like I am, or if you're helping a parent or grandparent to get ready to fly, this is the video you need to watch for your next airport trip. Not after everything has already fallen apart and you're standing in the terminal frustrated and exhausted. Let's get right into it. Rule number 1, check in smart and don't get trapped in the wrong line. Let me explain. In 2026, a lot of trips don't start at the airport counter anymore. They start on a travel app. At the big US airport hubs, the default assumption is that you've already checked in on your phone or at the kiosks, maybe even scanned your face, and now you're just dropping off your bag. That's what you think. The old school counters with real human agents are still there, but there are fewer of them and the lines are longer. Here's the part that matters for seniors. You can absolutely still get a printed boarding pass on most airlines. The trick is not letting the signs trap you into the wrong line. If you haven't checked in on an app, do not join anything labeled express, bag drop, or app check-in only. Those lanes are for people who have already done everything on their phone. You're going to get to the front of that line and they're going to send you somewhere else if you get into that line. It's going to waste your time and it's going to wear you out. So look for signs that say full service check-in or special assistance. That's where a human being can print your boarding pass for you, answer your questions as well, and fix problems if something comes up. But if you're over 65, there's a simple way to dodge the worst of that chaos. So stay with me because I am going to reveal it later. Because airlines now lean so heavily on phones and apps, those agent lines move slowly. The TSA might say 2 hours is enough time for a domestic flight, but my personal rule of thumb for seniors, especially who still need to go to the check-in counter and not use the app, is this: arrive 3 hours early. That extra buffer is there to protect you, not the airline. I watched an older gentleman in Denver spend 45 minutes just waiting to print his boarding pass. By the time he finally reached the desk, the flight was already closed in the computer system. He missed his flight, not because he was late to the airport, but because the line ate up all his time. He was in the wrong line. Now, here's the fun part. You don't have to wrestle with the app yourself. Most airline apps let a family member handle check-in from anywhere in the world, even if they are not with you, as long as they have your confirmation number and last name. Your son or your daughter living in another state can check you in from his or her phone. Tap send boarding pass and email it to you so that you can print it at home. So You would walk into the airport already holding your boarding pass. You wouldn't have to go to an agent to print it. And you don't have to deal with any kiosks as well, and no stress. If you don't use a smartphone and you don't have a printer at home either, don't panic. Just ask a family member or your travel agent to print everything for you ahead of time and tuck it all into one folder. When it's time to leave for the airport, all you have to do is just grab the folder and go. Once check-in is handled, you're ready for rule number 2. And this one is critical because the choice you make 48 hours before your flight decides whether wheelchair help actually shows up or leaves you waiting alone in the terminal. So let's talk about rule number 2, requesting wheelchair assistance 48 hours in advance or risk being left behind. What happens if you get to the airport and you can't get a wheelchair because you forgot to request it in advance? These days, on many major airlines and at packed hub airports like Atlanta, Denver, LAX, and other big connection points, wheelchair or mobility help is expected to be added into your booking at least 48 hours before departure. If that note isn't in the airline system, the staff may say they'll try to help you, but in reality, you're usually behind everybody else who did their pre-booking at home. So you have to be prepared. That's how seniors end up dragging bags through long terminals or nearly missing flights because nobody ever shows up with a wheelchair. And the wild part is, one early phone call can change all of that if you know how to ask. If long walks, standing in lines for long, or rushing between departure gates are hard on your fragile body, treat mobility assistance like part of your ticket, not a last-minute favor. When you book your flight or soon after you do, call the airline directly or talk to your travel agent. This is what you would say. Can you add continuous mobility assistance from check-in through boarding with no hands off? This one sentence doesn't just get you a wheelchair, it gets you a person who walks that entire journey with you. Imagine how much energy that saves before you even take off. Feels a lot easier already, right? Of course. Asking for wheelchair assistance is completely reasonable. This service exists so your knees, your hips, and back don't have to pay the price for every single step that you take in that terminal. So make sure you follow this rule. Next up is rule number 3, and this is the quiet little note in your booking that can move you into assisted or priority boarding even if you have never sat in a wheelchair before. So let's talk about rule number 3, requesting assisted boarding even if you don't use a wheelchair. Yeah, you heard right. Have you ever stood in the boarding line with aching knees, watching half the plane walk on before your group is called? And you're thinking, why am I still standing here? Here's what most seniors don't realize. You don't need a wheelchair to board early. You don't. If you have arthritis, a replaced knee or hip, or you just can't stand in one spot for very long, many airlines already recognize that as a mobility limitation. And based on how a lot of U.S. carriers handle accessibility now, that can qualify you for assisted or early boarding, even if you walk onto the plane on your own. I hope that sinks in, because that is so important to help you get a smooth flight experience. All right, now let's continue. The trick is using the kind of language the system understands. Airlines hide this inside something called a Special Service Request, or SSR. It's a hidden note that gets attached to your ticket. When you book your ticket or when you call back later, use a line like this. Can you add a special service request for mobility support and assisted boarding to my reservation? On the back end, it tells the airline system that your boarding pass needs to be flagged. And at the departure gate, you're typically called to board with the early or assisted group instead of waiting with everybody else. If that scenario sounds like it would save your knees, your balance, or just your patience, drop a comment below and tell me, would you actually use assisted boarding on your next trip now that you know how to ask for it? I would love to know. Because guess what? Once boarding itself is calmer, the next question is, who gets to go through security and onto the plane with you? That's where rule number 4 comes in. And this one is about keeping your spouse, your child, or your travel buddy linked to you so that you're not split up just because the computer put you in a different boarding group. So rule number 4 is keeping your travel companion with you through the security and boarding process. Did you know that if you need mobility assistance, U.S. airlines are often expected to let one person stay with you? In the U.S., accessibility rules like the Air Carrier Access Act often allow passengers using mobility or medical assistance to keep one companion with them through the security and boarding process. At check-in, instead of just saying we are traveling together, use language that sounds like it belongs in their system. Say this instead: we're traveling together and I'm under mobility assistance. Please link our boarding for companion continuity. In many cases, your companion gets pulled into your early boarding group, or at least they're marked in the system so staff know not to split you up in the chaos at the departure gate. And what if your helper isn't even flying with you? That's where this next little trick comes in. Let's say that your daughter is dropping you off at the airport, but you're anxious about getting through TSA and finding the gate alone. At many U.S. airports, the airline can issue something called a gate pass, also known as non-passenger escort pass. This allows a family member to go through security with you, walk you to the departure gate, help you find a seat, grab water for you or snacks or whatever, and stay until boarding begins. It depends on the TSA and that specific airport though, but it's common enough that it's absolutely worth asking. When you get to the check-in counter, say something like this: I have mobility issues and my daughter is helping me today. Is it possible to issue her a gate pass so she can escort me to the departure gate? From here, we head into rule number 5. And this one can let you keep your shoes on and avoid some of the most annoying medical checks at airport security. Don't skip it. It can seriously change how your next flight feels. I know all of this sounds overwhelming. It's a lot of new stuff in a world that used to be so simple. And that is exactly why I created this channel, and specifically my ebook titled The Senior Travel Blueprint. I saw so many seniors who wanted to see the world, but were being held back by fear and technology, intimidation about the airport and airline process, fear of their medication being taken, or fear of just not being able to keep up with the advancing technology. My $8.99 ebook, The Senior Travel Blueprint, is designed just for you. It's not a book of trends. It's a practical roadmap. I walk you through how to manage your medication safely, what to expect at the 2026 security checkpoints, and how to find those senior discounts you didn't even know existed, among so many other things. If you want the full experience, though, I also have the entire Senior Travel Bundle. This includes the same Senior Travel Blueprint, plus a 5-part video series where I talk to you face-to-face about mobility challenges and airport chaos. It even includes a gentle travel pep talk audio track for those moments when you're feeling a little nervous, before your trip. Grab them both or grab one or the other from the link in the description. Now, let's continue with the rest of rules. Rule number 5, navigating TSA security with fewer hassles. Keep your shoes on and protect your medical gear. Are you tired of taking your shoes off at the airport security? For a lot of seniors, this is the worst part of the trip. Bending down for bins, unpacking medications in front of strangers, worrying about what scanner will beep at you. Well, the good news is, under current TSA rules in the US, there are more small breaks for seniors than most people realize once you know how things are supposed to work. Let's start with your medical gear. If you travel with things like a CPAP machine, insulin, heart medication, liquid nutrition, or similar health items, TSA treats those as part of your medical supplies, not just random stuff in your toiletry bag. In many cases, they can stay in your bag while it's being scanned instead of being lined up in open bins for everybody to see. Some TSA officers still work on old habits, so a quick heads up as your bag goes on the belt really helps. So say something like this: I have medical items inside my bag. You're letting them know that there are medical items in there, not trying to sneak full-size shampoo bottles through the security checkpoint. This means less rummaging through your stuff, less bending, and your health details aren't on display for everybody else to see it. Now, let's talk about the metal in your body, if that's the case. Implants, pacemakers, new knees, new hips, screws, and plates. You shouldn't have to pay for those twice at the security checkpoint. TSA has a simple notification card that you can print from their website and fill out with a short note like metal implant in left knee or pacemaker fitted. Handing that card over before you step into the scanner tells the TSA officer you're going to see something here. It's medical and not mystery metal. For pacemakers especially, one quick reminder goes a long way. Let the TSA officer know you have one, your pacemaker, and that you'd rather have a manual pat down than a handheld wand waved over your chest. It might take a minute longer, but that's a trade you make once, not every single time that you fly. Next, keep your medical devices with you once you're past security. At the departure gate, you'll sometimes hear announcements like overhead bins are full. We need to gate check some bags. If your bag holds a CPAP, a medical cushion, cane, or other device you actually need on the flight, FAA rules give you the good standing and right to keep it in the cabin with you. A small tag on the handle that says medical helps the gate agent spot it fast, and they'll usually look for some other passengers' bags to gate check instead. Knowing that your device will be right above your seat is a big weight off your shoulders before you even sit down. Now, for the part your back and knees will thank you for, and that's your shoes. Before 2025, the Keep Your Shoes On policy mainly applied to travelers 75 and older. But by mid-2025, as new scanners rolled out in U.S. domestic airports, the default is shifting. In many security lanes, passengers are now allowed to keep their shoes on during screening, and that especially helps seniors who struggle with balance or bending. It won't be every single lane, and rules outside the U.S. can be stricter, but the trend is clearly in your favor. If you're asked to remove your shoes, then it's generally hard to do. A single polite question is worth trying. You can mention that you're over 65 with mobility issues and ask if there's another way to screen you. Sometimes they'll still need your shoes off, especially with older equipment or random checks. But you'd be surprised how often they'll switch to a pat down or a different scanner instead. I would suggest that on travel days, stick to simple slip-on shoes that you can get in and out of without wrestling with laces or bending forever. For once, that's an area where TSA is actually nudging things a bit easier for seniors if you know how to point to your medical needs. And next, in Rule 6, we're diving into medications and liquids in 2026 because the difference between medically necessary and just another bottle can decide whether your prescriptions stay with you or half of them end up confiscated in a bin behind the checkpoint. So let's get into it. Rule number 6, packing and declaring your medications properly, pills and liquids. Do your medications stress you out more than your boarding pass? For 2026, you really only need to remember 2 categories: liquids and pills. In the US, things like insulin, prescription syrups, liquid nutrition, and the ice packs that keep them cold fall under TSA's category of medically necessary liquids. TSA mainly wants them separate and declared, not hidden in your toiletry bag with your shampoo. At airport security, one simple line does the job. Say something like, These are medically necessary liquids for my condition. They may be over 3.4 ounces. Just let them know that. They might swab or scan them, but you've told them exactly that they are what they are from the start, which usually speeds things up. Pills are where it changes between domestic and international travel. On U.S. domestic flights, TSA usually doesn't mind if your medications sit in a Monday to Sunday pill organizer. It's convenient, and they understand that. But once you fly internationally, though, some countries, including Japan, the UAE, and parts of Europe, really dislike mystery pills in a plastic box with no label. To them, it can look like smuggling or misuse. So for trips abroad, think of your original pharmacy bottles as your medications passport. Your name, the drug name, and the dosage printed on the label prove what everything is. You can still move a few pills into a day of the week box for daily use, but keep those labeled pharmacy containers in your bag so that you can prove what everything is if anyone asks you, or if a doctor abroad needs to see it. If you travel with daily medications, tell me in the comment section what part of flying with them worries you the most. And if that already makes things feel lighter, rule number 7 goes one step further. This is how to bring a dedicated medical cooler bag without it counting against your carry-on limit, and how to get your temperature-sensitive medications looked after during the flight without feeling like you're asking for special treatment. I will go into those details in the next video. In the meantime, I want to tell you about the Senior Travel Blueprint I specifically created to help you navigate these 2026 trips. For just $8.99, it's a simple no-fluff guide that shows you exactly what to pack, how to handle your medications, and how to breeze through airport security without the stress. And if you want the full experience, my Senior Travel Bundle includes 5 face-to-face videos where I walk you through these airport changes step by step. You will get the Senior Travel Blueprint in that same bundle for a total cost of $14.99. Do not let the airlines treat you like a number. You've worked hard for your retirement. Let's make sure you enjoy it. Grab the blueprint or the bundle from the link in the description below. And please subscribe to the channel for the second video in this short series. I don't want you to miss that one, where I'm going to show you the six more rules that seniors need to know before traveling in 2026. Thank you so much for watching. I'm trying to rush this because I don't want it to be long. And I'll see you at the gate. Thank you so much and safe flight. I hope you got some value from this. I know you did, right?